2020 election fraud case adjourned to March 17. NCN Guyana, the ongoing 2020 election fraud case continued today in the magistrate court, with prosecution witness Rosalinda Rasool completing her testimony. Following her statements, she was cross-examined by the defense. The case has been adjourned to March 17, when Minister of Local Government and Regional Development Sonia Parag is expected to testify. During her initial appearance yesterday, Rasool detailed how former returning officer Claremont Mingo utilized spreadsheets for vote tabulation, despite a court order mandating the use of only the statements of poll, SOPs. She described the chaos at the GCOM Command Center on March 4, 2020, located at the Ashmans Building on High and Hadfield Streets. Rasool recounted significant delays, inconsistencies regarding the number of uncounted ballot boxes, and objections raised by political party representatives as results were announced from a spreadsheet rather than from the SOPs. Despite these concerns, former Chief Elections Officer Keith Lowenfield dismissed the objections, asserting that the use of the spreadsheet was intended to expedite the process. The case is being presided over by Acting Chief Magistrate Faith McGusty and involves 9 defendants, including PNC/our scrutineer Carol Smith-Joseph, former APNU plus AFC Minister Volda Lawrence, former Chief Elections Officer Keith Lowenfield, and his then Deputy Roxanne Myers, among others. They are facing 19 conspiracy charges related to the declaration of fraudulent election results. GDF adjusts posture at border following attack on soldiers, Brig Khan. News source Guyana. The Guyana Defense Force, GDF, has made significant adjustments to its posture along the western border and in surrounding communities after an attack on a GDF patrol in the Guyanese River, which left 6 servicemen with gunshot wounds. In a telephone interview, Chief of Defense Staff Brigadier Omar Khan emphasized the necessity for a new defense strategy in response to the incident. The incident demands us to transition into a new defense posturing, which will entail a number of things. I want to assure you that it is being addressed, he stated, noting that while specifics cannot be disclosed, the security posture at the border will be enhanced. Following the extraction of the injured soldiers, the GDF has reinforced its presence along the Guyanese River and other sections of the border with Venezuela. The gunmen involved in the attack are suspected members of a criminal gang, with reports indicating that at least 3 Venezuelan suspects were arrested in Venezuela after seeking medical help for injuries sustained during the assault. The government of Guyana has expressed outrage over the attack and has communicated with international partners regarding the incident. In contrast, the Venezuelan government has accused Guyana of spreading disinformation and propaganda in an official statement. On Tuesday, Guyana's Minister of Foreign Affairs summoned the Venezuelan ambassador to convey the government's concerns and outrage. President Irfan Ali is expected to address the matter during the CARICOM summit in Barbados, which begins this evening. Before departing for the summit, the president visited the injured soldiers to offer support. The GDF reported that the injured servicemen suffered penetrating trauma from gunshot wounds, with 3 requiring surgical intervention. The GDF remains committed to safeguarding Guyana's territorial integrity amidst these developments. Plea Bargaining Act now in force in Guyana, says AG Nandlal. News source Guyana. The Criminal Procedure, Plea Discussion and Plea Agreement Act is now officially in force in Guyana, as announced by Attorney General Anil Nandlal. He expressed hope that the public will support this significant legislation aimed at enhancing judicial efficiency and conserving judicial resources. During his weekly television program, Issues in the News, AG Nandlal emphasized that the Caribbean Court of Justice has urged all regional countries to implement plea bargaining legislation, and Guyana has taken the necessary steps to comply. The act was signed into law last month. It is important that we get the public buy-in, Nandlal remarked, noting that the legislation includes a provision requiring judges or magistrates to inform defendants of their right to enter into plea discussions with prosecutors during their initial court appearance. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions has already begun to utilize the new process. Key features of the legislation include right to legal representation. Accused persons are entitled to legal representation during plea discussions. Victim rights. Prosecutors are obligated to inform victims about their right to provide impact statements, with limitations on what can be included. Prohibition on certain plea discussions. prosecutors cannot engage in plea discussions or agreements if the accused or any related parties could face a pecuniary penalty or forfeiture. AG Nandlall highlighted the success of plea bargaining in the United States, where approximately 95% of criminal cases are resolved through this process. He also noted that it is now mandatory for courts to inform the accused about the plea bargaining procedure in the preliminary stages of proceedings. This is a very important legislative intervention, he stated, encouraging the public to take advantage of the provisions established by the Act. Vice President expresses dissatisfaction with management of government projects by Public Works Ministry. News source Guyana. Vice President Barrett Jagdeo has voiced his dissatisfaction with the management of government projects by the Ministry of Public Works, highlighting that poor planning continues to discomfort thousands of citizens daily. During a panel discussion at the Guyana Energy Conference and Supply Chain Expo, Jagdeo emphasized his frustration with the ministry, led by Minister Bishop Juan Edgehill and Minister Deodat Indar, who assists in the ministry's operations. He stated that the lack of effective management at project sites is unacceptable, saying, "They don't think about the 100,000 people who are discomfort every day. They just go and dig things up everywhere." Jagdeo urged for regulations that could provide order and structure in the execution of public projects, indicating his willingness to champion such legislation. He expressed his anger at the ongoing disruptions caused by poorly managed projects, noting that the President has also addressed these issues directly with the ministry. While acknowledging the necessity of infrastructural development to keep pace with Guyana's growth, Jagdeo stressed the importance of considering the impact on citizens. "I know we are building lots of things at the same time, and we have to do it, but for Christ's sake, let's do it with some order," he remarked. The Vice President also raised concerns about the quality of work and allegations of corruption within the construction sector. He acknowledged that while the government has implemented safeguards, issues persist. "We have seen one family would have 4 or 5 companies established in different names, and when they bid, they breach the tender process," he noted, highlighting challenges with shoddy work and potential bribery among engineers. Jagdeo assured that the government is attentive to complaints regarding the construction sector and has no intention of ignoring these issues. This year, the government has allocated over $400 billion for various infrastructural projects across different ministries as part of its significant infrastructural push. There are no attempts to sweep corruption under the carpet, VP Jagdeo. Vice President Dr. Barrett Jagdeo has affirmed the government's commitment to accountability and transparent governance, stating that there is no deliberate attempt to conceal corruption within his administration. He emphasized that the government has put in place robust safeguards to prevent corrupt practices. Jagdeo made these comments during the Guyana Energy Conference and Supply Chain Expo, responding to a participant's concerns about corruption. "There is no attempt to sweep it under the carpet because this is an ugly phenomenon that happens everywhere in the world, and would happen if you're spending more," he remarked. The Vice President highlighted the government's compliance with the Procurement Act, reiterating the administration's dedication to addressing public sector corruption. He pointed out that the National Procurement and Tender Administration Board, NPTAB, regularly publishes awarded contracts on its website, contrasting this with the previous administration, which he claimed failed to comply with legal requirements. "The last government did not publish a single award in clear violation of the law," Jagdeo noted. Jagdeo has consistently promoted a zero-tolerance policy for corruption among public office holders. During a high-level meeting at the Arthur Chung Conference Center, he stressed the need for strict adherence to procurement rules and urged public officials to familiarize themselves with the Procurement Act and standard bidding documents to avoid deviations from legal frameworks. He also discussed issues of shoddy work and bribery in public projects, reiterating that these matters are being addressed publicly. International recognition of Guyana's anti-corruption efforts includes the prestigious Best Regional AML/CFT Case Award, BREMLT, awarded by the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, CFTAF, acknowledging the nation's commitment to tackling corruption and financial impropriety. Additionally, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, commended Guyana for its progress in managing oil wealth and enhancing fiscal transparency in its 2023 Article 4 consultation report. These accolades reflect the government's ongoing strategy to combat corruption effectively.